Hey my friends, this video is brought to you by the color purple. Everything I grabbed seemed to just be purple this morning because I was in a rush because I needed to get downstairs to get my caffeine so I can try to create more spinal fluid and counteract these the hypotension of the symptoms of a leak. I have here in front of me a list of things I'm going to talk about, so I can be very concise because I've got to go in town to get Ruby. But there's two things from the video I made last night that I wanted to touch on, and now there are three. I want to make two corrections of the video. In the video that I did last night, I erroneously referenced Dr. Hepworth as the one who does the neurological testing, and that I'm not saying that he doesn't do some neurological testing, but Dr. Bolognese is the one who is known, he's in New York, and he's known for extensive testing for people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and evaluating all these crazy things that come about for us. And so I wanted to correct that, and then one of the other corrections was that there was no mention, I had said there was no mention in the cervical report of the syrinx from 2 years ago, and it is there, it's just not called a syrinx. I'm going to do another video when I actually get the disc in my hands and get the report and get that in my hands, so I'll do a separate video to explain all that, why I misread it at first. But so the syrinx is still there and the cord injury is there. They are reporting it down to C5 and C6, and also in last night's video I had said that what it said was happening in C5, 6 was no big deal probably. Well, it kind of is, because it's showing that the cord injury and or the syrinx has increased in length. To them it looks like it's increased. However, I had a cervical MRI done in 4 months after the one they did in 23, and that syrinx was already down to 5, down to 6 at that point. So it's not changed since then. It changed from the time they did their imaging in March of 23, and then the imaging was done in Rhode Island in July of 23. Just, yeah, that's it. Let me look at my notes here. Oh, there's a manometry, I think is how you pronounce that, report that was done as part of the Venogram Angiogram, and I cannot talk to you like I have hardly any intellect about it, but from what I understand, whenever you're supine, which is lying flat, your jugular bulb is, which is where your it's at the base of where the jugular branches out, I believe is how that, don't take anatomy classes from me. Okay, so the jugular bulb pressure is supposed to be in a specific range. I was at the very low end of that range, and that was with me lying flat on my back. So you would imagine, and from my research, this is the way it works, that whenever you're vertical, that number goes even lower. The pressure is dropped. So it is kind of pointing to a CSF leak. So that should be informative to Dr. Vero Janapa. A large heron just flew pretty close to my yard. That was kind of interesting. Sorry for the distraction. Instead of squirrel, it was heron. So, yeah, that should be interesting to Dr. Vero Janapa. It should be interesting to, all of this should be interesting to both doctors, Vero Janapa and Bolognese. One of the reasons I went to Vero Janapa last month is because he does list on his website that he does leaks. And also because he trained under Bolognese. That's what I've heard through the grapevine. And my grapevine is usually pretty reliable because it's other patients like myself who have all these complex, rare things, and we share with each other. And the reason I went to Virgin Alpha is because he was easy to get into, easy access, and completely covered by insurance. I didn't have to send in imaging and do a $1,000 second opinion fee. I'm okay doing that because with Bolognese, I'm glad I didn't have to do that with Virgin Alpha. Sorry, all this pressure in my lumbar is just intense, and that's got to get figured out. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about in this video, which is already 6 minutes, so I've got to speed this up because I meant to do it just bullet point. With Virgin Alpha, I didn't have to send in a report, but I had to pay to get there. I had to, do hotel. I had to do a airfare, and that was, took a toll on my brain. You all witnessed that. And of course, Ubering and the cost of eating out, which I managed to really minimize because I took frozen meatballs on the plane with me, and I got 2 meals out of that, and I only did a 1-night stay. I should have done a 2-night stay. I think my brain would have recovered better. When I fly to New York, I'll have to fly, and I will do my very best to do a non-stop flight, so it's a short flight, less time in the air, and of course it will be over a week before I fly back, so I'd like to say I'd have time to recover, but the testing that Bolognese will be doing won't exactly make me feel like I'm recovering. Anyway, let me look at my list here. One of the things that was in the report that I didn't mention last night is that the width of my canal is mentioned in I don't remember if it was my lumbar and sacrum or just sacrum, that it's wide, much wider than it should be. And, I asked ChatGPT about it, and it said something, what that indicates, and I can't recall what Chat said. I haven't really looked it up yet, but it might just be reflective of the fact that I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I don't know. I don't know if it's reflective of a CSF leak. I don't know. I need to look that up, but it is something that they took time to note, so I need to take time to learn what it could mean. This is the thing with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, is you have to learn all this stuff. You have to get into the weeds in your own health care. It doesn't matter if you want to just be an artist. You've got to figure out how to get your own medical degree sitting at home. I did not go to medical school. I did not go to nursing school. Nothing. I didn't want to do that. Okay, so I have 9 items on my to-do list for this week. Not to mention getting groceries and feeding myself, and getting unpacked, which will probably take me all week, and getting my laundry done. But my 9 things. Now, this is another reason why people on disability, I guess there are 10 things because I need to put something else on here. Maybe it's on there already. But people with chronic illness who need a disability, not a diagnosis, a disability claim to be accepted by the Social Security Administration, is because even if you're more functional than I am, it takes your entire life to manage your health. It takes a lot of not just time and money, but effort and energy, and it's just very consuming. It doesn't leave time to go and work. Okay, so first thing on my list, I can't read it up there and I can't move my head. There, that's better. Okay, I got to get my imaging and reports to Dr. Bolognese, and that is much more involved than what you can imagine. I'm sure I'll make a video about that. And then I've got to figure out $1,000 to send with that imaging. Like, you got to send your money. I believe you send your money with the report. That's how it was with Hepworth, because I got everything ready for Hepworth, and then they needed the 900 before they even needed my imaging, and I couldn't do it, and so that put me on hold. And then I went to see Vera Janapa instead, and Dr. Patel called and wanted to set me up with his doctor at MUSC. So, anyway, my point is, I'm sorry, I went down a tangent. My point is that how Dr. Hepworth handles it might not be how Bolognese handles it, but I know I've got to find $1,000 immediately in order to get that sent up. I'd like to get that sent up in the next week or two. Just focus on that. I've got a friend, Kate, who is getting surgery on her second styloid by Dr. Bolognese in January, and she and her husband have offered to be a support team for me if I can coordinate with Dr. Bolognese's staff to do my testing this around the same time that they're up there. They would extend their stay on either side of their time up there. That is a phenomenal offer. And so, and let me tell you, I am uncomfortable 99% of the time. And the other 1% is too fleeting. But my point is, I need to make a change and expedite how quickly I do this. But so I will be doing that anyway, but I will really be doing it to see if there's any chance that I could coordinate my timing with Kate and Robert. Can we just say they're two saints? So I also need to go into town to get Ruby and to get the MRI disc, but I need to get a copy of that to Dr. Vera Janapa and to Dr. Bolognese, right? Number 4 on this list. There are different leak centers, places where you can go to for a leak to be investigated, because it can be difficult to find a leak. This MRI not showing a leak is not concerning. It would have been fabulous if it showed a leak, but typically it takes a really high-powered machine than what even this nice one at Crestwood is. And there's just different technologies that can be used, but even then, one's not always caught by an MRI, and typically, I believe the next step is always a CT myelogram. So that's what we'll be doing next, most likely with Dr. Vera Janapa. So I got to get my imaging to him. I believe they already have that in the mail to him, but I got to verify they have. So the leak centers, there's like one in California, one in Colorado. I think there's one in Florida, and maybe one in North Carolina. I can't recall. There's only a handful of them, and the wait times to get into these places is several months, like a year or more sometimes. Although one EDSer that I know, she said that it only took her 2 months to get into one out in California, and hers was eventually caught on an MRI that they had out there that was a much more high-powered one. That's Jamie, and I really appreciate her telling me that because it's very encouraging. So Jamie, if you're watching, thank you. Number 5 on my list is this swelling in my abdomen and over my sacrum. Nobody's addressing this. I got to figure out what it is. I'm either, growing a big old octopus inside of me, or there's something really scary wrong. The octopus might be less scary. So who am I going to go see? My primary, I don't want to just complain, but, he clearly is not the right doctor for me to do any investigative work, because he would not order this MRI that Dr. Klinga in Rhode Island ordered. She told me to get it, and he wouldn't do it. So he's not willing to be a team player, so I can't go back to him. He was very nice, but not willing to be a team player. And there's no other doctor to go to that I'm already seeing in town. I went to the pain doctor, and, he accused me of seeking drugs. I don't know who else to go to. So I decided last night I'm going to go to a gynecologist. I think I can self-refer myself there and just go. The fact that I had hysterectomy because of pelvic congestion syndrome when I was 27 should validate why I'm going to a gynecologist. I don't have an ovary there, and I don't have a uterus there, so they may laugh me out of their office, but I can't just call up a vascular doctor and say, hey, can you investigate? I wish these guys I saw last week could have fully investigated, but this is their body part up here, and they don't do the lower part. So they went through that area, and I asked them to take a look while, to just not speed through, and they didn't see anything, but again, that's not their area, and let's just say that it's just not their area. And they were clear about that. It's not me dismissing them. So I need to order a disc of the MRI from Dr. Bolognese, and I need to order either a disc report or whatever from this Venogram Angiogram to go to Dr. Virajanapa and to Dr. Bolognese. Okay, all that takes more time than you would think. Yes, that's what I just said. Okay, and number 8, I need to update the Social Security office with everything that is current from last week, and send them the reports from the MRI, and then when I get this stuff, get everything, I guess I can download the report from the Venogram Angiogram and send that into the Social Security office. So that's my list, but I got to start by going to get Ruby and going to get the disc that is waiting for me. It is very difficult to be upright, even to be angled, so I've got to move as quickly as I can. When I get Ruby, I'll get to lay down at my friend's house, and before I head back out again, got to get groceries in here, different things. So I'm just going to have to deal with some pain the best I can. But I'm telling you, this is not pain that you can ignore. When your CSF is so low, everything is on fire. Every nerve is just on fire. Is fetal position kind of on fire. So wish me luck. Keep me in your prayers if you don't mind. I'll be doing a follow-up when I get the imaging and I can load it into here and look at things and understand things better. There's something else I was trying to get to. I was going to tell you. I can't recall what it was. But anyway, there'll be another one. Sorry, 18 minutes. Keep moving your needle.